So everyone's on edge to start this year, which is why I've decided to devote all the Patreon exclusive reviews in January to stuff I actually like. And with TV trash being devoted to Highlander this month as well, it seems fitting to start the month with that as well here. As I mentioned in the previous TV trash, I actually think television is a better medium for the whole theme of Highlander, which I do think has a lot of flaws from the very beginning that I'm probably going to piss off a lot of people with before this month is over. But in the meantime, let's look at the pilot episode of the first Highlander TV series.
I am Duncan MacLeod, born 400 years ago in the Highlands of Scotland. I am immortal, and I am not alone. For centuries we have waited for the time of the gathering, when the stroke of a sword and the fall of a head will release the power of the quickening. In the end, there can be only one.
And it took less than 15 seconds to likely send the majority of Highlander fans into a frenzy by suggesting the gathering is happening now. The episode properly opens with this punk kid breaking into Duncan MacLeod's antique shop, unaware that if he had just peeked into his bedroom window with a camera to film what's going on in there, he could have been one of the founders of the bootleg internet porn business. Duncan senses that someone is in the place and thus goes down with his sword for a confrontation that likely would have made Nash's show nowadays.
I am Duncan MacLeod, of the Clan MacLeod.
See, this is why more people need to carry swords. People are desensitized to guns nowadays, but you point a freaking katana at them, they're gonna bolt with their pants changing colors.
Here, take them. They're all in the bag. I'll pay for the window. It's over.
This leads Duncan to realize the kid isn't an immortal, well, not yet, meaning someone else is there. And just like that, in breaks a Hannibal Lecter fanboy named Slan, played by the late Richard Mall.
We haven't been properly introduced, but you'll get to know me, my dear.
Mac!
Did you come to fight or talk?
He's not gonna fight you, Duncan.
And with that, we get the token guest appearance to draw in the opening ratings. The original Highlander.
Sorry, Duncan, but this one is mine.
My challenge was to Duncan MacLeod, not you, whoever you are.
I'm Connor MacLeod. Same clan, different vintage.
And then Slan flees once he hears the cops. Okay.
You look good.
The next morning, Duncan heads to the Seacouver Police Department. No, really, that's the fandom-created name for the home of Duncan's U.S. headquarters, to drop any charges against the kid Richie in return for making sure he doesn't tell anyone about the little real-life LARP fight he saw. Meanwhile, we see that Slan is apparently stalking Tessa until Connor sees him, at which point Slan makes an ass of himself driving through traffic just because he can, and through all of this, I'm just trying to get used to seeing Richard Mall with hair.
Hi.
Tessa, you've already met Connor MacLeod.
I'm a friend of Duncan's from the old neighborhood. A mere pinprick.
By my count, you look more like a pincushion. You know Slan is mine.
You sure you can handle him?
Oh, come on! You mean you've never had a family member drop by to practice sword fighting while bantering who gets to prove their dick is bigger by killing someone who's stalking you?
Connor taught me everything I needed to know to survive as an immortal. The rules. The tactics needed to win.
That a katana is the best weapon of choice because of how awesome it is, and that dealing antiques is the best line of work.
Why does this Slan person want Duncan?
The last one will have the power of all the immortals who ever lived. enough power to rule this planet forever.
And here's where I'm going to really start distancing myself from a large portion of the Highlander fan base in terms of attitude. I will admit it can seem uncomfortable to essentially retcon what happened in the first movie in that it did happen. Connor's killing of the Kurgan is mentioned in the season 2 premiere even, but it wasn't the final battle of the Immortal. So that alone can make me understand why many fans of the original would be put off by it. But to be honest, I kind of think the setup they have here works better. Simply acquiring all the strength and knowledge of all immortals seems more logical for the prize than some mystery that turns out to be mortality with telepathy or whatever. And it therefore makes more sense for members of the Clan MacLeod to really be involved in the game, to be on a mission to make sure the last immortal is not an evil one like Slan or the Kurgan. It gives us a better reason to root for them. And it is also compelling to have someone like Duncan, who is a bit of a reluctant competitor in the game. You get the feeling that if it had come down to just him and Connor, or any other immortal friends like Fitz, Darius, or Amanda, he would just convince them to give up on the game and live together in peace. And that's shown further as we get the first real flashback in Duncan's life to one time in the 19th century, it looks like, when seeing a Native American tribe getting slaughtered made Duncan want to give up fighting. So he ended up building a new home for himself on holy ground, knowing that he would essentially be protected since no immortal would dare fight there. Back in the present, Duncan later finds Slan has invaded his home and taken Tessa hostage, and this is apparently just to play with them as he makes a few vague threats and parries before taking off again when he could have just used Tessa to make Duncan lie down and take his head there. I'm not sure if Slan is stupid or a coward or both. Naturally, Tessa has a hard time dealing with what she just had to go through.
We could be in Paris by tomorrow.
You think he couldn't find us in Paris? Tessa, Slan won't give up. You'll have to leave.
What?
There's no way you could have known what this was going to be like.
This past 2 years. Was it like a summer fling? R&R? Sorry, darling. Back to the wars, you know. Damn you! Damn your gathering! Damn your whole race!
And here's where we see something else that I admit wanting to see more of. How a mortal would really react to seeing firsthand the life immortals lead. How they have to live this eternal life being hunted down by members of their own kind. I'll talk more about this when I review Highlander the Raven, but for now, we'll move on to where Slan orders a confrontation with Duncan and vows to take Tessa when he's done with him. But before Duncan can go after him, Connor calls dibs one last time and goes off to face Slan instead, not knowing that he has a stowaway.
Don't look so disappointed, Slan. When was the last time you had such an enthusiastic opponent?
Maybe you're right. This could be fun.
Okay, how is that not cheating? But that's when Duncan shows up to give Slan the fight he really wants.
Finish it, Highlander.
There can be only one.
See, for the longest time, they all thought you had to say that every time or you just don't get the quickening.
Whoa. Chill, man. Just pretend I'm not here.
I won't even tell my Cookie Putt's cousin who works over at the FBI! So Duncan rescues Connor from the river, and they agree that someone needs to keep an eye on the kid, while Duncan says he's going to leave Tessa because he can't put her through all of this. Naturally, Tessa has no business allowing him to do that, and fortunately for her, Connor is able to correctly guess where Duncan went. Back to that house he originally built more than 100 years ago.
You didn't say goodbye?
Never do.
I mean, if I ever have to, it's probably because I'll eventually have to kill him or something. And so, yeah, I'd say this pilot to the Highlander TV series pretty much set up what they were going for with this show as well as anything. It definitely had to change some things around for the series to make any type of sense, and that's definitely going to not please some members of the fan base, but hey, you can never please everybody. And I'd say people who wanted to see more information on what the life of an immortal would really be ended up getting their wish for the most part for the next 5 years. But yeah, this was an episode that I pretty much knew I would probably like from the beginning. Next time, we'll take a look at an episode of a certain TV show that I still can't believe I actually like.